Hey there. Good morning, everyone. Wanted to touch base with everyone since it's been a little bit since I did one of these updates. But we specifically wanted to talk a little bit about getting your actual cash value appraisal and what it can do to help you in the process of getting your house back together or in the process of selling your house, whichever route you may take. I had the opportunity to talk to a master appraiser who has performed many of these actual cash value appraisals and knows the FEMA requirements. It's John Barquette, who is a friend of mine, property valuation specialist in St. Petersburg. And just like all of us, he's going through it at the same time as we are living through this situation. His home was flooded and he's currently displaced as well. So definitely understands what we're all going through. My goal was originally to record our conversation and sort of interview, but as can happen when two old real estate guys get together, things go down rabbit holes, and the video was going to be too long, and we were talking about problems that have happened and possible solutions, and they may or may not relate to what you're looking at right now. So I figured it was best to just do a recap on this video. So after talking with John and some other appraisers that I know as well, we've come up with some ideas. The reason you might want to appraisal a new one, actual cash value appraisal, is one of three things. You might be trying to save your home. Obviously, you want to get the most value so that you can perform the repairs under the 50% FEMA limit. The second thing may be if you want to sell your house and don't want to do the work to it, but I can promise you your house is more valuable. Your overall property will be more valuable if your house can be rebuilt, even if you don't want to do it. So maybe having this appraisal done will show that there's some value to the structure, and then someone could come in and remodel the house, even if it's not you wanting to do the work. So that's an option for you. It's certainly more valuable if the home can be refurbished or repaired to a potential buyer who may want to come in, refinish the house to their liking, and know they can do that under that FEMA 50% cap. The third, a little bit more limited way you can use the appraisal, though, could be to challenge your adjuster's findings on what your loss actually is. So the appraiser may be able to do that for you. So those are three really good reasons to get that appraisal. So in talking with John, we sort of tried to lay out what should you do first. Obviously, if you have not yet filed for your demolition permit, all the municipalities are requiring it under the FEMA guidelines. You're going to want to apply for that. But be careful when you apply for that permit. Some of the municipalities have an option that say, I am willing to accept the FEMA letter as provided by the Pinellas County Property Appraiser's Office. So if you haven't gone there yet, go to pcpao.gov, pcpao.gov, put in your address, and on the top right-hand corner is a little toolbox that should pop out, and you get the FEMA/FLM letter. That will show you what your FEMA number is according to the property appraiser. I'm going to tell you in most cases that's much lower than your actual value of your property, which is why we're recommending everyone that's trying to save their home or maximize their value get an appraisal from a property appraiser, licensed independent appraiser. So you're also going to want to know whether your municipality uses 49% or 50%. For example, if you're in unincorporated Pinellas County, the number maximum you can use is 49%. That is an interpretation that the county has taken, and that's what we have to work within. So just be careful if you're applying for that demo permit and there is the option to select one or the other. Make sure you select that you're going to get a private appraisal. Even if you never get it, select that one because you can go back. If you select that you're going to use the FEMA number and you move forward with it and find out that number's too low, then you have to go through what's going to be a more lengthy appeal process. If you find that your 50% is exceeded based on your FEMA number, and then you have to go get an appraisal. So the best thing you can do is get that appraisal done as soon as possible. Go get your FEMA packet from your municipality. That's the next thing. All of our cities and towns are providing a FEMA paperwork packet that you're going to need to submit along with any of your rebuilding permits. So you may as well get that now. So when you go to submit for your rebuild, you're going to submit everything completed in that FEMA packet as well as the appraisal that you've gotten. And it should be noted that your private appraisal is not going to affect your property taxes. The private appraisal is between you and the appraiser And then with the FEMA or city, when you go to apply for your permits, this doesn't get fed to the property appraiser's office or the tax collector's office, and it will not affect your property value in any way. It's a private document. So something to know too is that when you get your insurance adjuster's report after they inspect your property, if you haven't gotten it yet, or even if you have, that number's not final. There are things that can change in those numbers. And sometimes you can use the appraisal to justify a higher settlement amount to make your repairs, or to just settle your claim and for you to move on. So please keep in mind, there's some very good reasons to have this private appraisal done. So some of the questions I've been getting are like, how long does it take to get the appraisal? That, quite frankly, is going to depend on the appraiser. I know with John and his group at the Property Valuation Specialists in St. Petersburg, they're turning them around in 10 business days, so 2 weeks, which right now, that's really fast. I do know of some others that are saying it's going to be 4 to 5 weeks to get a response or to get the report completed. Another question I've had is, hey, I bought my house 2 or 3 years ago. I financed it, so I got an appraisal at that time. Can I just use that appraisal? The short answer is no. The reason you can't do that is because the FEMA requirement has very specific things that they need to see in there about the actual cash value, and it gets more detailed into the depreciation. When you bought the house, you got a comparative sale appraisal, basically a market value appraisal. There is a little section in there that's often filled out about cost depreciation analysis, but it's very short and very succinct, and it doesn't go into the detail that FEMA requires for the actual cash value appraisal. So I'm sorry to say it won't work. What is the cost for an actual cash value appraisal? That's going to vary a bit. I would say on the low end, you're $500 to $600. On the high end, $1,000 to $1,100 is going to be the cost. So knowing what you're looking for, what you're asking for is really important. Something interesting for those of you in St. Pete Beach that you really need to keep in mind, this has come up a few times in questions, and we did some homework to see if it was true, and it is. St. Pete Beach has what's called a 5-year look back period. That means any permits that have been pulled on that property in the last 5 years, they'll go back and accumulate that number and add it to whatever your current cost of repair is to come up with your 50%. So we have a couple things that work here. We've got to find the denominator in your equation. What is the maximum value? What is the maximum number you can have for the value of your property to establish your FEMA 50%, right? So that's step one. That's why you get the appraisal. You look at your FEMA number. Mike Twitty at Pinellas County Property Appraiser's office has unveiled a new tool that you can try. If you feel like your FEMA number that's on the property appraiser's office is close and you don't want to go through getting an appraisal, you can have a value reconsideration done by the Pinellas County Property Appraiser's office. There is a link on their website. If you go to their frequently asked questions page, I think it's number 3 or 4 on the frequently asked questions, there's a link to a value reconsideration. You can upload photos, receipts from contractors. So if you've had work done recently, he's admitting and acknowledging that he probably doesn't have an accurate number for you. And I will tell you, I spoke with Mike Twitty in person the other day, as I have many times in the past. He's a very nice guy, and he wants to help our citizens and our residents. He's not in any way trying to be punitive. He's trying to come up with tools to help the situation. So kudos to Mike Twitty and his staff for unveiling this tool. But it's on his website. You can get a value reconsideration. It'll take a few days for that to happen. And then they will give you a new number that you can use for your FEMA maximum repair limit. So the next part is what contributes to your top of the equation, like what's in my 50%. That's going to be in the FEMA packet that you get from each individual city. Some cities are including things that others aren't, vice versa. So be really careful what you're including there. One of the questions I've been hearing regularly as a little bit of a diversion from our topic of the appraisal, what if I don't have insurance, and what if I don't want FEMA's money? Do I still have to comply with their rules? The short answer is yes, you do, because it's based on what the municipality is doing. The municipalities are the ones that have the codes and ordinances, and the FEMA rules have been built into those codes and ordinances. So whether you're taking FEMA money or not, you are still required to follow the city codes and laws on your construction or rebuild or reconstruction. So just make sure you're following the rules, because it could come back later to haunt you, and we don't want to have that happen. So some other questions that are out there have been, what if I decide to tear down and rebuild my house? Will that affect my property taxes? Again, that's a property tax collector and property appraiser's office thing. If you tear down your house and rebuild it, and you have the Save Our Homes cap, you build your new house within 110% of the square footage of your existing home. So you have a 2,000 square foot single level house on the ground now, and you build a 2,000 square foot elevated home to be FEMA compliant, your property taxes will not increase by any more than they would have before, based on the Save Our Homes cap. So there's no big reset coming for you if you redo your home. Now, if you exceed that 110%, you go from a 1,100 square foot house to a 3,000 square foot house. Now you're going to see your property value, your property taxes increase because of the major increase in the value of the home and the improvements that you did. So there's tons of questions out there. I want to encourage you guys to ask those questions. You can send them to me via email, through YouTube, through social media. Happy to answer any questions. You can reach out and call me. I just really want to help my neighbors, and I want to see us get through these things together. There are so many questions out there that remain unanswered. So if you have them, please reach out, and I'm happy to answer them for you. I hope you have a great day and get through this the best you possibly can. And there's a lot of people rooting for you, and we're all going to get through this together. Thanks for taking the time to watch this.